illegal appointment. That's what the trustees I talked to are calling this. They say the news took them by surprise, and now they're talking to legal counsel to figure out their next steps.
I am about to address some things as the supervisor. There will be no comments. There won't be anything. It will just be me addressing you guys to tell you what's.
Is this the beginning of the end for Tiffany Henyard, the self-proclaimed super mayor of Dolton, Illinois? A political drama full of accusations, betrayals, and scandals is threatening to topple an empire that was built on controversy and public funds. Henyard, a person whose name has come to represent unrest in local politics, is currently at the heart of growing allegations and inquiries that appear to get worse every day. The narrative is a maelstrom of reported financial wrongdoing, misappropriation of public monies, and allegations of power abuse to keep control, while projecting a successful facade. Critics claim that Henyard has put personal ambition ahead of public service, as evidenced by tales of extravagant spending on expensive hotels, lavish vacations, and an astounding township credit cards were charged $40,000 for the Amazon buying spree. Many of the inhabitants, who reside in a place where the median salary is only enough to cover basic expenses, are outraged by these revelations. In the meantime, Henyard's leadership style, which is frequently characterized as authoritarian and combative, has further polarized the community. Her vehement public speeches and social media tirades against critics have alienated critics and raised questions about professionalism, while supporters view her defiance as a sign of resilience. However, the cracks in her administration are becoming more obvious as accusations of predatory behavior, manipulation of township resources, and silencing of dissent have painted a grim picture of a leader losing her hold on power. The fallout from these scandals has not only damaged public trust, but also prompted legal action, and Henyard is frantically trying to defend her position as the controversies from the FBI probe with each new revelation. The once dominant narrative of a fearless, community-focused leader is giving way to a picture of a politician embroiled in her own web of controversy. For Bond, the stakes are high as the town struggles with the financial instability and shattered trust left in the wake of Henyard's administration, raising questions about whether this is the end of her reign or the beginning of a protracted struggle for survival. Mount Subu calls for greater transparency and accountability, with both residents and political opponents wondering how such behavior was allowed to continue unchecked. One thing is certain: the Tiffany Henyard story has reached a pivotal moment, and the consequences will extend well beyond Dolton's government's boundaries.
Developments in South Suburban Dolton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial reporting.
The Illinois state comptroller recently postponed payments to the village because it failed to submit required financial reports, a decision that sent shockwaves through the community and heightened frustrations with local governance in what many saw as an unconventional response. Recent events in South Suburban Dolton have exposed the growing drama and dysfunction surrounding Mayor Tiffany Henyard's administration, further destabilizing a community already dealing with political and financial turmoil. Henyard called a special meeting that seemed more about spectacle than governance. In a room that was almost completely empty, she gave a defiant monologue to the trustees who were not present, highlighting her resolve to continue in the face of mounting opposition. Her fiery declarations, interspersed with dramatic accusations, painted a picture of a champion. With Siege defying her detractors to confront her directly, the trustees' absence highlighted Dolton's leadership's weakness and represented the widening divide between Henyard and those who believe her management style is autocratic and self-serving, from Henyard's detractors. This solitary act was a clear reflection of an administration, and it reflected the mayor's growing estrangement and disconnection. Her supporters saw the meeting as a brave stand against a hostile environment they believe has been set up to undermine her vision for the community, while her detractors claim that her failure to foster collaboration with the trustees has made Dolton's problems worse and left important governance issues unresolved. These accusations of impropriety and financial mismanagement, along with the delayed state payments and lack of financial transparency, have only increased suspicions about the village's financial health under her watch. As the leadership crisis worsens, Dalton finds itself at a crossroads with its future hanging precariously in the balance. Some residents have called for greater accountability and transparency, while others have praised her resilience and described her defiance as a refusal to back down in the face of adversity. However, for the average resident, exhausted from the endless political infighting, the spectacle did little to inspire confidence in the town's leadership. Many see Dalton's current state as a cautionary tale of what happens when governance breaks down, leaving a community to bear the consequences of stalled progress and fiscal instability. The village's non-compliance with financial report reps is the reason for the delayed state funding, which has raised questions about Henyard's ability to manage Dalton's affairs effectively. They described as Henyard's use of the township's credit card as her personal piggy bank, took the bold decision to rein in Mayor Tiffany Henyard's controversial spending habits by enforcing a strict new credit card policy. This action was intended to enforce accountability in the township's finances, but Henyard was not going to let this challenge go unaddressed. Fiercely retaliated, saying the action wasn't just about cutting back on her spending, but was an attempt to undermine her leadership and, more concerningly, vital township services. In a passionate defense, she depicted chaos and claimed the new policies would bring the township to a complete standstill. In a dramatic turn of events, Henyard illustrated her. Using this striking and almost unbelievable example, she bemoaned that the township she was in was unable to even afford to purchase ice cream for a senior social event. Imagine her saying Grandma's ice cream social is canceled because of politics. The image of elderly residents eagerly anticipating a basic pleasure only to have it denied by political scheming became a symbol of her defiance. Though they disagreed, Henyard's detractors believed that the trustees' measures were a necessary response to her suspected misappropriation of public funds. Reports of extravagant spending, including unneeded travel, pricey dinners, and personal pleasures, had already given her opponents a picture of Danning's financial mismanagement during the accusations that had plagued her term for a long time. The fundamental problem, a leadership style that is increasingly perceived as self-serving and detached from the demands of the community, was simply distracted by the ice cream limit. As the drama played out, the people of Thorin Township, who were caught in the crossfire, watched with a mixture of frustration, and even as some people support Henyard and commend her for her leadership, the conflict over the credit card policy became yet another flashpoint in the story of a sharply divided township, with Henyard's defiance and the trustees' resolve driving the township further into chaos. Under siege, some saw her as the mastermind behind the township's problems.
A one-day purchase of over $40,000 to Amazon. And the main thing is...
Once close to Mayor Tiffany Henyard, Carmen Carlisle has since gained notoriety as a whistleblower who has made grave accusations against her former employer that depict Danning as predatory and immoral. Behavior Carlisle and her former assistant have revealed what they say is a systematic exploitation of workers, vendors, and residents by Henyard in order to increase her personal influence and present a false picture of success. According to Carlisle, Henyard has manipulated the very foundation of a troubling pattern of self-serving decisions that prioritize Henyard's lavish lifestyle over the needs of the community she was elected to serve is allegedly underlying the administration's use of the hard work and trust of others to maintain a facade of effective leadership and progress, according to Carlisle. One of the most shocking revelations is the allegation that Henyard has been using taxpayer dollars to fund her extravagant lifestyle, which includes luxury trips, stays in upscale hotels, and extravagant shopping sprees. A stark example of this misuse is a staggering township credit cards were charged $40,000 for the Amazon buying spree. These costs are representative of a larger culture of financial carelessness and power abuse under Henyard's direction, Carlisle argues. The disclosures have rocked the community, which is already dealing with late state payments and unstable finances, as locals wonder how such excesses could happen in a town where many people are struggling to make ends meet. Carlisle's allegations have also rekindled more general worries about transparency, accountability, and the abuse of power. Carlisle's specific accusations, along with growing public discontent and an ongoing FBI investigation, indicate that the problems at hand are far from isolated incidents. Henyard has dismissed the accusations as unfounded, characterizing them as the spiteful actions of resentful former associates attempting to undercut her administration. These accusations have had a swift and serious fallout, with detractors demanding more monitoring and a stop to what they refer to as a reign of. Not checked in, however, for the people of Dolton, many of whom make modest salaries. The discoveries highlight a sharp contrast between their everyday hardships and the alleged excesses of their leadership. In addition to drawing harsh criticism to the Henyard administration, Carlisle's choice to come out has sparked serious concerns about the mechanisms that permitted this behavior to continue, causing many to wonder how much more is concealed beneath the surface.
The government always does it, is to go and investigate people around her, and that's what they're doing.
What is it? Carlisle asserts that even though she had initially trusted Henyard, she began to doubt him when things didn't work out in the end. You were on this board when Henyard retaliated in a particularly heated exchange, but we never talked about it. So you should have been exerting the same amount of energy when you were silent a year or a few months ago. Oh, the drama. The government is always looking into people around her, and that's what they're doing here. Just when you think it can't get much more juicy, check out what Henyard's spending. Early findings from former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot's investigation, which the Dolton trustees commissioned, indicate that Dolton's finances have deteriorated from a $5.61 million surplus to a $3.65 million deficit in the 2 years Lightfoot has only been excavating. What the devil is Lightfoot doing? Finding a variety of objects beneath rocks and pointing directly to Henyard's questionable spending habits? Amazon purchases pricey dining bills and exorbitant travel expenses. Henyard appears to be misusing the town's funds as if they were her personal slush fund. Why doesn't anyone find that level of detail jaw-dropping, sir? You didn't go to Las Vegas. Although she is adamantly defending herself, Henyard is not taking these accusations lying down. She has nicknames for her detractors and accuses everyone, including the media and her fellow trustees, of circulating false information and fanning a smear campaign. She spent an incredible $33,000 in a single day on Amazon. You can only imagine what she bought, and this kind of spending is insulting to a town where the typical income is just $24,000. It was virtually necessary for you to appreciate, despite Leon Carlisle's bravery in calling out her former adversary and ally in front of a sizable crowd. It seems like the Henyards are running out of allies and excuses. The Illinois State Controller has already frozen state funding to complete and get past the issues with audit transparency, and the FBI is closely monitoring the situation. Not to mention the scene of a meeting that turned into a reality TV-style altercation in which Henyard, brandishing a golden microphone, yelled at her critics, telling them to stop playing these pointless games. The stakes are high, the drama is dramatic, and Henyard looks prepared to fight. Federal subpoenas are flying like confetti at a scandal-themed party, and everyone is saying, "No, he's not employed by us, so you have just this Gation." She is a Shakespearean villain who won't leave peacefully until the bitter end arrives to destroy Kay Freeman. She ordered the police during a heated town meeting. But what exactly is Henyard fighting for her supporters, who are now few and far between? She may argue that she is battling for her political life, but her critics argue that she is only trying to hold on to her position of authority at any cost, and that her attempt to reappoint Deputy Police Chief Lacey has only served to stoke the flames. After the trustees put Lacey on administrative leave after his indictment, sparking yet another court battle, Henyard reappointed Lacey, who had been charged with bankruptcy fraud. She told the police officers during a furious argument that it would be anarchy if anyone questioned her authority. The people of Dolton and beyond are sick of the scandals, the infighting, and the lack of transparency. They are calling Henyard the worst mayor in America, and it's difficult to argue with them. One trust said it best when they said, "I wish the FBI was around the corner so they could raid this place because we all need to go to jail at this point." Public gatherings have devolved into shouting battles with Henyard, who accuses everyone of conspiring against her, including the media and her former allies. Meanwhile, her critics are holding signs, chanting slogans, and demanding resignations and explanations. There is no reason why any township resident should go to a mayor's conference.
Oh, sir.
You didn't go to Las Vegas? What is it?
As the story goes on, it seems that Henyard is more alone than ever. The trustees have tried to pass ordinances to curb her spending, but Henyard has vetoed them. When they hired Lord Lightfoot to investigate, Henyard declared the action unconstitutional and blocked it. But that didn't stop Lightfoot from exposing financial mismanagement and raising more questions about Henyard's leadership, or lack thereof. After all, this is Super Mayor TIR, the people's mayor and people's supervisor. Lightfoot told the stunned audience and the residents of Dalton that they had had enough. Then there was the Tiffany at Henyard Cares Foundation, which sounds noble, but reports suggest that even this has come under scrutiny. The town board approved a $110,000 donation to the foundation on the day it was chartered, and a month later, Henyard organized a 10-day walk and bike ride across the state, ostensibly to support a breast cancer bill that was never even filed. The guests who paid for the trip, you guessed it, did so at taxpayers' hotels, meal supplies, and even photographers. Instead, we have several officers riding around protecting the May. What's next for Tiffany Henyard? As the FBI investigation heats up, subpoenas are piling up, and her own town is turning against her. It seems like Henyard. Her supporters are turning into enemies, scandals are turning into investigations, and her reputation is disintegrating more quickly than a cookie at a town hall meeting where the residents of Dalton are demanding answers. The super mayor is trying to stay in office, but the more she fights, the more she appears to lose. Accountability and, above all, a change in leadership will determine whether Henyard resigns, is evicted, or finds a means to escape this situation. Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. This political drama is far from over. Your taxpayer-funded trips were fun, but what do we learn? Nothing. Here you have it, people, the dramatic fall of Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who quickly went from hero to villain. A tale of power, treachery, and ultimately a community's struggle for justice. Saba is far from done. In politics, as in life, anything can happen. Now, let's take a moment to hear what the fans have to say about Tiffany Henyard and the entire scandal. One fan didn't hold back. She won't see the inside of a jail cell. The entire state is corrupt, or they would have done something by now. This fan is calling out not just Henyard, but the entire state of Illinois, implying that corruption is so pervasive that it is shielding Henyard from any true repercussions. It's a harsh perspective, but it does show some frustration with the case's slow justice system. Fans such as this one are fed up with waiting and wondering if anyone will actually take action to hold Henyard accountable for her actions. Another fan went even farther in their analogy, comparing Henyard to a reckless spouse. What do you think people think? Is Tiffany Henyard really the worst mayor in America? Or is she just the target of a political smear campaign? She is portrayed as a bad wife who raids her husband's bank account without considering her marriage or her children. Wow, that's quite the image. Please share your thoughts in the space provided below. Until the next time. Does this mean that the so-called super mayor's career is over? Or is there more to this story than meets the eye?